regard black magic as being purely fictitious, or is there some truth in it?
Some truth. 100% truth. There is nothing fictitious about black magic, in any way whatever. It is a fact. It is a fact which has existed for several thousand years. I mean, when we talk about black magic, we are talking about Satanism, necromancy, alchemy, witchcraft, the worship of Satan, the worship of dark forces, whether it's voodoo, whether it's something practiced in the Western world or the Eastern world, whether it's easily defined or not easily defined, the order of the left-hand path. It is basically the worship of the force of evil, of evil, of evil.
When the Mason learns that the key to the warrior on the block is the proper application of the dynamo of living power, he has learned the mystery of his craft. The seething energies of Lucifer are in his hands. Is there any direct evidence from Masonic literature that they would provide information or instruction to conjure Satan or his demons? This book is The Builders. It was written by Joseph Fort Newton in 1914. It's the classic which today is often presented to newly raised Master Masons. The bibliography contains references to most of the major books and authors which reveal the hidden meanings behind Masonry. This is page 57. It's a page in the chapter on the secret doctrine. It says, "Perhaps the greatest student in this field of esoteric teaching and method, certainly the greatest now living, is Arthur Edward Waite, to whom it is a pleasure to pay tribute." Waite, who until his death in 1945 was considered to be a great student of the secret doctrine, wrote this Masonic encyclopedia, a new encyclopedia of Freemasonry. Waite also wrote the Book of Black Magic. On page 244 through 248 of the Book of Black Magic, we find detailed instructions on how to conjure Lucifer. This book was published by the authority of the Supreme Council of the 33rd degree. It has a bibliography listing selected references in the back. It's known as a Bridge to Light. Here's the title page. And we can see down at the bottom that it was, in fact, written with the authorization of the Supreme Council. Here's the selected references, which are found on page 329 of A Bridge to Light. And we notice down at the bottom that they recommend Manly Palmer Hall's 1928 Secret Teachings of All Ages, an encyclopedic outline of Masonic, Hermetic, Kabbalistic, and Rosicrucian symbolical philosophy is the other title. This is the full page of the chapter heading on ceremonial magic and sorcery in Hall's book. I'm going to do a close-up of the left-hand top of the page. Hall writes, "Ceremonial magic is the ancient art of invoking and controlling spirits by a scientific application of certain formula." Down below he writes, "While the elaborate ceremonial magic of antiquity was not necessarily evil," well, believe me, what Hall is talking about here is conjuring demons, and it is extremely evil. Modus operandi for the invocation of spirits. This is a rather nice way to say the methods to be used to conjure demons. Here is a drawing from the book showing a magician invoking a demon. Notice that he's standing in a magic circle, and on the upper left-hand corner we've got Baphomet, the goat of Mendez. How would you go about controlling a demon once it was invoked? Well, the Secret Teachings of All Ages provides an example pact, which is found on this page, CIV. It reads, "At last a pact is agreed upon." It may read as follows: "I hereby promise the great spirit Lucifuge, prince of demons, that each year I will bring unto him a human soul to do with as it may please him, and in return Lucifuge promises to bestow upon me the treasures of the earth and fulfill my every desire for the length of my natural life. If I fail to bring to him each year the offering specified above, then my own soul shall be forfeit to him. And it's signed, the infant signs the pact with his own blood. This is the lost keys of Freemasonry. On page 57, Hall writes, "The Master Mason, if he be truly a master, is in communication with the unseen powers that move the destinies of life." If he be truly a master, is in communication with the unseen powers that move the destinies of life.
Am 22. Juni morgens setzte nun dieser größte Kampf der Weltgeschichte ein. Seitdem sind etwas über 3,5 Monate vergangen. Und ich darf hier zunächst eine Feststellung treffen. Es ist alles seitdem planmäßig verlaufen. Ich spreche das erst heute aus. Ich spreche das erst heute aus, weil ich es heute aussprechen darf, dass dieser Gegner bereits gebrochen ist und diese erheben wird.
I've said of Freemasonry, it's harmless in my view. The founding of the United States of America was a Masonic experiment, and that was the pinnacle of its achievement. And there's no secret agenda, and there are no secrets. And all these people that accuse Freemasonry of being of having a secret agenda are deluded. I've now had to change my mind and confess I was wrong. And there is an agenda which appears to be immensely powerful. And I think they see it as the fulfillment of the 3,000-year mission from the time of Solomon. Mm. But the really scary bit was when we realized that the Pentagon is Stonehenge rebuilt.
Really?
And the man that designed it was President of the United States of America at the time and just about to take his country into the Second World War. And they had to build the Pentagon quickly, and they were building it somewhere else. And he said, I want it here. And I want the middle of it here, and I want it looking like this. And he actually gave the design to the architects, and he's built it following the instructions that are in the 32nd and 33rd degree of Freemasonry, which is about defense of the realm. The whole building was structured 25 times the size of Stonehenge, but every corner, every wall follows the patterning. They understood it, exactly what they're doing. Every junction, every monument at intersections, everything about the structure was originally designed to follow to the millimeter using these ancient measurements, megalithic units, megalithic yards and seconds of arc. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was a bit of an amateur architect himself, but for him on such an important thing, when the army said there isn't time, we can't move it, and he insisted to be put in a place that was called Hell's Bottom. It was just an absolute horrible place where they had to drain riverbank and move marshes, and it had to be built at some speed because they knew they were going to war. But it had to be in that exact position to have this juxtaposition with this chamber and the centre of the Capitol. And it had to be at that angle, and it had to have the 5 walls, because that's what's dictated in the Scottish Rite, and the walls within the walls, and the sizes of them had to be exactly as they are, because they are the megalithic dimensions that we find in the 6,000-year-old henges across here in Europe. And the chances of all these things being done in 1941 by accident are non-existent. And the words spoken in the 32nd and 33rd degrees describe exactly what happened. They were building this structure to win the war that was going to turn the world into their oyster, because they were building the New Jerusalem. Because these people were originally Jewish priesthood, according to the rituals of Freemasonry. They describe how they when the direct destruction of the temple took place in 70 AD, when Titus and the Roman troops destroyed it and they lost the war. 1.3 million Jews lay dead. Priests escaped to Europe, and this is all explained in Masonic ritual, which at one time I would have thought was a fanciful story, but it actually totally fits. And there, as they moved from northern France, they met the Normans, the Norse people, who had come down from Scandinavia, who had got knowledge of the original structures that were built, because they were the builders. And they realized that they needed to work together, and for the last 1,000 years they have been working together.
I mean, the reason we're given why America entered World War II is because on December 7th, later, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. They knew what they were doing then.
Yep, there are some funny bits in there. Another awkward one, which almost can't work out and don't like to think about too much. From the center of Washington, D.C., exactly 3 megalithic degrees, that's 366 of the Earth's surface, takes you to the western tower of the Twin Towers, to the millimeter. And you try and link anything else by any means, and nothing else works at all. And of course it could be coincidence, but it's a very strange one, especially given the timing. I certainly cannot buy, personally, conspiracy theory that the US military or political people were involved in the thing, but it's very odd.
I guess what I'm alluding to there as well, obviously, is that they were beginning the building on the Pentagon because they knew they were entering the war.
Oh yes,
you know,
yes.
but the reason for them to entering the war didn't come until later.
Sure. My understanding is that the Americans had put the Japanese into a terrible economic, painted them into a corner where...
That's right.
So certainly the powers that be at the highest level probably knew all this. If these people were driving for the war, it's possible that they just foresaw the war coming and that they hadn't set out to cause it per se, or at least not deliberately to cause it. That's what I like to think anyway.